Tonight, as the world quiets and the sky softens into shades of deep blue, imagine yourself standing in a forest where nothing appears to move, and yet everything is quietly communicating. The air feels cool against your skin, and above you, thousands of leaves rest gently in the moonlight, each one seemingly still, each one silent. But if you listen closely, not with your ears, but with your curiosity, you begin to sense that this forest is not silent at all. Every leaf around you is part of an ancient language, a slow and patient code written in veins, light, and breath. The surface of a leaf may look simple, just a thin green blade swaying in the night air, but within it flows a hidden architecture more precise than any human design. The branching veins stretch outward in patterns that follow mathematical rules, distributing water and nutrients with astonishing efficiency. These patterns are not random. They mirror river deltas, lightning bolts, even the networks of neurons inside the human brain. Nature repeats its designs because they work, and in those repeating designs lies a secret code, an algorithm refined over millions of years. As moonlight touches the canopy, each leaf performs a quiet miracle called photosynthesis, transforming invisible sunlight into stored energy. During the day, this process hums continuously, turning light into life, carbon dioxide into oxygen, sustaining nearly every breathing creature on Earth. It feels almost magical, yet it is chemistry, precise, balanced, and dependable. Chlorophyll molecules capture photons with delicate efficiency, beginning a chain reaction so intricate that scientists are still unraveling its elegance. And yet the tree does not rush. It does not strive. It simply follows its code. If a caterpillar begins to chew on one leaf, something extraordinary happens. That leaf releases chemical signals into the air, subtle airborne messages that drift toward neighboring leaves and even nearby trees. These signals warn others of danger, encouraging them to produce defensive compounds. The forest, which seemed so still, is in fact a community in conversation. Roots beneath the soil extend this language even further. Through underground fungal networks, sometimes called the wood wide web, trees exchange nutrients and information, supporting weaker saplings, balancing resources, maintaining harmony. It is cooperation written into biology itself. The more we look, the more we see that leaves are not isolated objects but participants in a vast, synchronized system. Even their shapes follow hidden rules. Some grow broad and flat to capture maximum sunlight in shaded forests. Others grow narrow to reduce water loss in arid climates. Every curve, every pointed tip, every serrated edge carries evolutionary memory. When rain falls, droplets gather and slide off in ways that prevent mold and damage, guided by microscopic textures we barely notice. There is no wasted design. Even the spiral arrangement of leaves around a stem often follows the Fibonacci sequence, ensuring that no leaf blocks the light of another. This quiet mathematical precision feels almost poetic, as if nature prefers balance over chaos. And yet, it does not feel mechanical. It feels alive. As a gentle breeze passes through the trees, the leaves respond in waves, shimmering like a slow green ocean. That movement is not random either. Leaves are shaped to flex and bend just enough to avoid tearing, absorbing wind energy in subtle, calculated motions. Engineers study these forms to design stronger buildings and more efficient solar panels. The forest has always been a patient teacher. If you were to hold a single leaf in your hand, you might notice its faint network of veins glowing under soft light, like a miniature map of rivers branching outward. Those veins deliver water pulled upward from roots through capillary action, defying gravity in silence. It is a process so steady and reliable that we rarely stop to marvel at it. And yet, every towering tree depends entirely on that quiet upward flow. Even as autumn approaches and temperatures shift, leaves follow another coded instruction. Chlorophyll begins to fade, revealing hidden pigments of gold, amber, and crimson. The tree gently reclaims nutrients before letting the leaf drift to the ground, where it will decompose and return its elements to the soil. Nothing is wasted. The code includes endings as well as beginnings. In this slow cycle, there is comfort. Leaves do not resist change. They respond to it, guided by signals of temperature and daylight length. They trust the rhythm embedded in their cells. And perhaps, as you stand beneath this canopy, breathing in oxygen created by unseen chemical dances, you begin to sense that you are part of this code too. The carbon in your body once moved through leaves like these. The oxygen filling your lungs was crafted in green chambers under sunlight. There is a continuity here, a gentle reminder that life is not separate from nature's design but woven into it. The forest does not hurry, yet it accomplishes everything it needs to. It grows, communicates, adapts, and rests, all according to instructions written in molecules and memory. As night deepens and the wind softens, the leaves above you continue their silent work, participating in patterns older than humanity itself. And the more you observe them, the more you realize that what seems ordinary is actually encoded with astonishing intelligence. The language of leaves is not loud. It does not demand attention. It simply exists, steady and patient, waiting for those who slow down enough to notice. And tonight, as you listen to their gentle rustling, you may begin to feel the soothing rhythm of that hidden language, a reminder that beneath the surface of the world, a beautiful and precise code is always unfolding. As dawn begins to gently dissolve the darkness, imagine walking into a quiet meadow where the first light of morning rests delicately on thousands of unopened blossoms. The air feels cool and still, carrying the faint scent of earth and dew. At first glance, the flowers scattered across the field appear effortless in their beauty, soft petals unfolding without urgency, colors blending into the landscape as if painted by instinct alone. But beneath this gentle display lies something astonishingly precise. Hidden inside every bloom is a quiet mathematical order, a pattern so consistent and elegant that it feels less like decoration and more like design. Nature does not scatter petals randomly. It follows numbers, ratios, spirals, and sequences that repeat across continents and centuries, forming what could only be described as a secret code written in symmetry and growth. If you kneel beside a single flower and observe it closely, you may notice how its petals arrange themselves in balanced formations. Many flowers display radial symmetry, where each petal mirrors the next in a circular harmony. This symmetry is not simply for beauty, it ensures stability and maximizes visibility to pollinators. Bees and butterflies are guided by patterns we cannot easily see, including ultraviolet markings that act like landing signals. These invisible pathways direct insects toward nectar, ensuring pollination continues with quiet efficiency. The flower's design, therefore, is both aesthetic and functional, shaped by millions of years of subtle refinement. As sunlight grows stronger, petals begin to open fully, revealing spiraled centers that often follow the Fibonacci sequence, a numerical progression in which each number is the sum of the two before it. This sequence appears repeatedly in sunflowers, daisies, and countless other blooms. The seeds at the center of a sunflower, for example, form interlocking spirals that expand outward in perfect balance. This arrangement allows the plant to pack the maximum number of seeds into the available space without overlap or waste. It is a solution so efficient that mathematicians and architects have studied it for centuries, yet the flower achieves it naturally, without calculation or conscious effort. It simply follows the algorithm embedded in its cells. As a soft breeze moves through the meadow, the flowers sway gently, and you begin to notice another layer of coded intelligence. Each stem grows at a precise angle to capture optimal sunlight, a phenomenon known as phototropism. Cells on the shaded side of the stem elongate slightly more than those in direct light, causing the plant to bend toward illumination. This movement is gradual and almost imperceptible, yet it is guided by chemical signals responding to environmental cues. The flower does not see the sun, but it senses its direction through molecular instructions, adjusting its posture in quiet response. Even the number of petals often corresponds to specific numerical patterns. Lilies commonly have 3 petals, buttercups often display 5, and many composite flowers follow sequences that align with Fibonacci numbers. These recurring patterns suggest that nature favors certain structural efficiencies, repeating them across species and ecosystems. It is as though the same mathematical blueprint is reused in different forms, producing endless variation from a consistent foundation. And yet, Despite this precision, flowers never feel mechanical. Their softness, their fragrance, their subtle imperfections create an emotional response within us. Perhaps it is because our own bodies are shaped by similar codes. The branching of our lungs resembles the branching of stems. The spiral of our DNA echoes the spirals found in blooming centers. There is familiarity in these forms, a quiet recognition that we, too, are shaped by hidden mathematics. As morning deepens, pollinators begin their gentle work. A bee lands on a blossom, guided by scent molecules drifting invisibly through the air. The fragrance itself is part of the code, composed of volatile organic compounds arranged in precise combinations. Different flowers release different chemical signatures, attracting specific pollinators suited to their structure. Some blooms open only at night, releasing sweet aromas that call to moths under moonlight. Others display bright daytime colors designed to catch the compound eyes of bees. Every detail is tuned to timing and partnership. The meadow, which seemed simple at first glance, reveals itself as a coordinated system of exchange and balance. Even color follows scientific precision. Pigments such as anthocyanins and carotenoids absorb and reflect specific wavelengths of light, producing reds, purples, and yellows. Soil chemistry can subtly alter these hues, shifting petals from blue to pink depending on pH levels. The environment and the organism interact continuously, adjusting outcomes within flexible parameters. The code is not rigid, it adapts while maintaining structure. As you sit quietly among the blossoms, you may feel a sense of calm rising from their steady presence. Flowers do not rush their unfolding. They open when conditions are right, close when light fades, and wither when their cycle is complete. Their lifespan may be brief, but their design carries continuity. Seeds formed at the center will scatter, settle into soil, and begin the sequence again. Each generation repeats the mathematical instructions encoded within its DNA, yet small variations allow evolution to continue. This delicate balance between repetition and change sustains biodiversity across the planet. By midday, the meadow hums softly with life, and the sunlight illuminates thousands of geometric masterpieces swaying in harmony. What once seemed like simple decoration now feels like a living equation, solved again and again in petals and pollen. There is comfort in knowing that beneath apparent randomness lies order, and beneath order lies adaptability. The mathematics of flowers is not cold or distant. It is warm with sunlight, alive with fragrance, and gentle in its persistence. And as you breathe in the subtle perfume carried on the breeze, you may begin to sense that nature's secret code is not hidden to exclude us, but revealed to anyone willing to pause long enough to see it. High above the quiet forests and sleeping cities, beyond the soft glow of streetlights and the gentle warmth of homes, something delicate begins to form in the cold upper layers of the atmosphere. Invisible droplets of water drift upward into regions where the air grows thin and frigid, and there, in near silence, a transformation begins. A single particle of dust, almost unimaginably small, becomes the center of a slow and intricate construction. Around it, water vapor freezes instantly, arranging itself into crystalline form. And in that frozen moment, nature begins writing another line of its secret code. The snowflake is born not as a random speck of ice, but as a geometric masterpiece guided by molecular precision. Each water molecule carries a specific angle, bonding with others at approximately 104.5 degrees, and this angle determines the hexagonal symmetry that defines nearly every snowflake. The result is not chaotic ice, but structured architecture shaped by physics itself. As the tiny crystal drifts downward through shifting layers of temperature and humidity, its arms extend outward in symmetrical branches. The environment subtly sculpts its shape. If the air is slightly warmer, thin plate-like structures form. If it is colder, delicate needle-like arms stretch into space. Changes in humidity cause side branches to grow, splitting again and again into intricate fractal patterns. No two snowflakes experience precisely the same atmospheric journey, which is why no two are identical. And yet, despite their uniqueness, they all follow the same foundational geometry: 6 sides, balanced and mirrored, a quiet reminder that even individuality rests upon shared structure. Imagine now standing outside on a winter night, the world hushed beneath a soft blanket of white. Snowflakes descend slowly, illuminated by the glow of a distant lantern. Each one spins gently, catching the light before settling onto your coat sleeve. If you lean closer, you might glimpse a tiny frozen star, symmetrical and luminous. What appears fragile is in fact the result of billions of water molecules locking together with perfect alignment. This alignment is dictated by hydrogen bonds, invisible forces that guide molecules into repeating lattice formations. The snowflake does not choose its design. It obeys the fundamental laws written into matter itself. And yet the outcome feels almost artistic. The 6 arms radiate outward with delicate balance, branching into smaller arms that mirror the larger structure. This repetition of pattern within pattern is known as fractal geometry, a concept found throughout nature, from coastlines to lightning bolts. Snowflakes display this fractal quality in miniature, as if the atmosphere itself were sketching microscopic mandalas in the sky. The more one studies these frozen crystals under magnification, the more astonishing their complexity becomes. Some resemble intricate ferns, others look like lacework carved from glass. Each variation emerges from subtle differences in temperature gradients and moisture levels encountered during descent. It is as though the sky is a vast laboratory, continuously experimenting with form. And yet the process is entirely natural, unfolding without intention or awareness. There is comfort in this quiet inevitability. Snowflakes do not strive to be beautiful. Their beauty arises as a byproduct of molecular truth. As snowfall continues, millions of these crystalline structures accumulate, layering gently upon rooftops and branches. Individually, they are fragile. Together, they reshape landscapes. Forest paths soften. Sounds become muted as snow absorbs vibration, creating a peaceful hush that feels almost sacred. The geometry of each snowflake contributes to the insulating quality of snow itself. Air pockets trapped between crystals slow heat transfer, protecting plant roots beneath the surface from extreme cold. Even in winter stillness, the code serves life. If you were to observe snow forming in a laboratory chamber, you would see that its structure changes instantly with even the smallest shift in conditions. A difference of just a few degrees can transform broad hexagonal plates into slender columns. This sensitivity reveals how responsive nature's code truly is. It is not rigid but dynamic, adapting moment by moment while maintaining underlying order. The hexagon persists, even as the details evolve. As night deepens and snowfall slows, you may find yourself reflecting on how something so fleeting can hold such precision. A snowflake may melt seconds after landing, its structure dissolving back into liquid form. The intricate pattern vanishes, yet the molecular relationships remain. Water will freeze again elsewhere, rewriting similar geometry under new conditions. Nothing is permanent, and yet nothing is wasted. The code continues. There is a quiet poetry in that cycle. Ice becomes water. Water becomes vapor. Vapor becomes crystal once more. Each phase change follows thermodynamic principles that govern the universe at every scale. From planetary ice rings to the frost forming on a window pane, the same molecular angles apply. The geometry inside a snowflake connects to broader cosmic patterns, linking the smallest crystal to the vast physics of matter. And as you watch the final flakes drift gently to rest, you may feel a subtle calm settle within you. The world, which often feels unpredictable, reveals itself as deeply structured beneath the surface. Snowflakes remind us that complexity can arise from simplicity, that infinite variation can grow from consistent laws. In their brief existence, they demonstrate how nature's secret code balances order and individuality in perfect harmony. By morning, sunlight will touch the snow-covered ground, and melting will begin. The crystalline stars will dissolve quietly, returning to invisibility. But the geometry that shaped them remains written into the molecules themselves, ready to form again when conditions align. And perhaps, as you breathe in the crisp winter air, you sense that the hidden patterns guiding those snowflakes are the same patterns guiding the wider world, steady, elegant, and endlessly unfolding. In the stillness of late afternoon, when sunlight filters gently through layered canopies and the forest seems suspended between breath and silence, something extraordinary is happening beneath your feet. The towering trees around you appear calm and unmoving, their trunks firm, their branches resting in quiet dignity. Yet hidden within their bark and deep below the soil, a subtle network of communication hums continuously, carrying signals that never make a sound. Trees, often thought of as solitary giants, are in fact participants in one of the most intricate living communication systems on Earth. Their language is not spoken in words or audible tones, but in chemical pulses, electrical impulses, and underground exchanges that move steadily through roots and fungal threads. What seems like stillness is actually conversation unfolding in slow motion. Imagine placing your hand against the rough surface of an old oak tree. Beneath that textured bark, microscopic channels called phloem and xylem form vascular highways, transporting water, nutrients, and signaling molecules upward and downward through the trunk. These pathways do more than sustain life. They transmit information. When a tree experiences stress, perhaps from drought, insect attack, or sudden temperature change, it releases chemical compounds that travel through its internal systems. Some of these compounds drift into the air as volatile organic molecules, carried gently by the wind toward neighboring trees. Nearby leaves detect these airborne signals and begin adjusting their own chemistry in response, producing defensive substances before the threat even reaches them. The forest, which appears quiet, is alert and responsive. Beneath the soil lies an even more astonishing dimension of this hidden code. Fine root tips extend outward, intertwining with microscopic fungi that form vast underground networks known as mycorrhizal systems. These fungal filaments connect multiple trees across surprising distances, creating a web of exchange sometimes compared to an organic internet. Through this network, trees can share nutrients such as carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus, redistributing resources according to need. Older, established trees may send additional carbon to younger saplings struggling in shade, supporting their growth until they reach sunlight. In times of environmental stress, signals transmitted through this network can prime entire sections of forest for resilience. The cooperation embedded in this system suggests that competition is only one part of nature's story. Collaboration is equally fundamental. As evening approaches and shadows lengthen, consider how trees respond to seasonal rhythms encoded within their cells. Changes in daylight duration trigger hormonal shifts that prepare them for winter. Leaves alter pigment production, nutrient flows reverse direction, and energy storage increases. These processes are initiated not by conscious decision but by molecular sensors that measure light with remarkable sensitivity. Phytochrome proteins within plant cells detect specific wavelengths, allowing trees to anticipate seasonal transitions long before temperatures drop significantly. The code guiding these adjustments is ancient, refined across epochs of shifting climates and geological change. Even the roots themselves possess a kind of sensing intelligence. They grow not randomly, but in response to gradients of moisture, nutrients, and even subtle chemical cues released by other plants. If one area of soil contains higher nitrogen levels, root growth intensifies in that direction. If a neighboring plant releases allelopathic chemicals designed to inhibit competition, roots may redirect their expansion elsewhere. This dynamic negotiation beneath the soil is invisible to the human eye, yet it shapes the composition of entire ecosystems. Forest patterns emerge from countless microdecisions encoded in cellular responses. Occasionally, lightning splits the sky and strikes a tree with sudden force. In the aftermath, surviving tissues begin immediate repair processes. Cells near the damaged area release signals that activate protective genes, strengthening surrounding structures and sealing exposed layers. The tree does not panic. It follows instructions embedded in its DNA. Even injury becomes part of the coded narrative of survival. Over decades, scars become woven into the trunk's growth rings, recording environmental history in concentric layers of wood. Each ring marks a year of rainfall, temperature fluctuation, and nutrient availability, forming a biological archive written in cellulose and lignin. Scientists studying dendrochronology can read these rings like timelines, uncovering climate stories that stretch back centuries. As twilight deepens, a faint rustling moves through the canopy. Leaves respond to subtle shifts in air pressure and humidity, adjusting microscopic openings called stomata to regulate gas exchange. These pores open to absorb carbon dioxide for photosynthesis and close to conserve water when conditions grow dry. The coordination of millions of stomata across a forest canopy influences atmospheric composition itself. Trees collectively absorb vast amounts of carbon dioxide, moderating global climate patterns. Their silent labor stabilizes the air we breathe, linking forest health to planetary balance. In some species, electrical impulses ripple through tissues in response to touch or injury, resembling simplified neural signals. Though trees lack brains, these bioelectrical changes coordinate responses across distant branches. When caterpillars feed on one section of a tree, chemical defenses can be activated in untouched areas within minutes. The timing is not accidental. It is governed by rapid signaling cascades that ensure protection spreads efficiently. Such responsiveness challenges the notion of plants as passive organisms. Instead, they appear as dynamic systems continuously sensing and adapting to their environment. As night settles fully and moonlight filters through branches, the forest seems peaceful again. Yet beneath that tranquility, the coded exchange continues uninterrupted. Nutrients move along fungal pathways. Hormones circulate within trunks. Roots extend fraction by fraction into new soil. The rhythm is slow, almost imperceptible, but relentless in its consistency. Trees operate on timescales longer than human lives, yet their communication is immediate within their own biological frame. Standing among them, you may begin to sense a deeper connection. The oxygen filling your lungs was shaped by these quiet processes. The wooden beams in distant homes once carried similar vascular channels. Even the paper beneath a writer's hand began as cellulose structured by these hidden codes. Trees are not distant entities but partners in an ancient exchange of matter and atmosphere. And so, as you listen to the faint whisper of leaves overhead, you may realize that the forest is not silent at all. It is speaking continuously, through chemistry and connection, through cooperation and resilience. Its language is patient, unfolding at a pace that rewards stillness. The secret signals of trees remind us that life thrives not only through strength, but through communication woven invisibly beneath the surface. In that understanding, there is a gentle comfort, a reassurance that even in apparent quiet, the world is alive with steady, purposeful dialogue, guided by nature's enduring and elegant code. As the horizon blushes softly with the first light of dawn, far above oceans and mountains, a quiet movement begins. It does not announce itself with noise or urgency, yet it spans continents and crosses hemispheres. In the pale sky, a formation of birds glides steadily southward, wings beating in unison, their bodies aligned in a shape that reduces wind resistance and conserves energy. From the ground, it looks graceful and effortless, but hidden within each small body is a navigational system so refined that it rivals the most advanced human technology. Migration is not wandering. It is coded precision, written deep within genes, guided by invisible forces that animals sense but we barely perceive. Imagine a single Arctic tern lifting from its northern nesting ground, beginning a journey that will carry it thousands of miles toward Antarctic waters. The distance is staggering, yet the bird does not carry a map. Instead, its brain contains specialized cells sensitive to Earth's magnetic field. Tiny particles of magnetite within its tissues respond to geomagnetic lines, allowing it to perceive direction through sensation. The planet itself becomes a compass, a silent guide beneath open skies. Even when clouds obscure the sun and stars hide behind storms, the tern continues on course, following magnetic cues encoded into instinct. High above shifting currents, monarch butterflies begin their own extraordinary voyage. Delicate wings, painted in orange and black, carry them across vast stretches of land towards specific mountain forests where their ancestors once rested. Many of these butterflies have never made the journey before. They are generations removed from those who began it. Yet the route persists in their biology, passed along through DNA like an inherited memory. Within their antennae, molecular clocks track the position of the sun, adjusting flight direction as the day progresses. The code inside them synchronizes light perception with internal timing, ensuring they maintain the correct southwest trajectory. It is navigation shaped by evolution, precise and unwavering. Beneath the ocean's surface, another migration unfolds in near darkness. Humpback whales glide through deep blue corridors, traveling thousands of miles between feeding grounds and breeding waters. Their songs echo through vast underwater distances, low-frequency melodies that can carry for hundreds of miles. These vocalizations are not random. They follow structured patterns that evolve gradually each season. While scientists continue to study their full purpose, the songs appear to coordinate social bonds and possibly guide migration routes. Whales, too, respond to magnetic fields and ocean currents, aligning their movements with planetary rhythms. As afternoon light warms the land, caribou herds begin crossing tundra plains in synchronized waves. From above, their movement resembles a flowing river of fur and antlers, stretching across landscapes shaped by ice and wind. Their migration is driven by seasonal shifts in vegetation and temperature, but timing is everything. Hormonal changes triggered by daylight length signal when it is time to move. Calves are born precisely when fresh grasses emerge, ensuring nourishment during their most vulnerable weeks. The code governing their journey balances survival with reproduction, linking environmental cues to internal physiology. Even smaller creatures participate in these grand movements. Tiny sandpipers, weighing little more than a handful of feathers, undertake non-stop flights spanning oceans. Before departure, their bodies undergo dramatic changes. Fat reserves accumulate rapidly, doubling their weight. Organs temporarily shrink to reduce mass, then regenerate upon arrival. These transformations are not conscious decisions. They are automatic adjustments activated by hormonal signals and genetic programming. The bird becomes a temporary vessel optimized for endurance, shaped by an algorithm refined over countless migrations. As evening settles and stars appear one by one, nocturnal migrants rise into the night sky. Many species travel under darkness, navigating by constellations. Experiments have shown that certain birds learn star patterns early in life, imprinting celestial maps that guide them year after year. Even when artificial lights disrupt the horizon, their instinct to follow stellar cues remains strong. The sky itself becomes a reference frame, a rotating compass overhead. In this way, the code of migration links earthbound life to cosmic structure. Within rivers, salmon begin their upstream journey, swimming against powerful currents toward the very streams where they were born. Guided by an acute sense of smell, they detect minute chemical signatures unique to their home waters. This olfactory memory persists for years spent in open ocean. When the time comes, subtle hormonal changes trigger the return. Their bodies transform along the way. Colors deepen, jaws reshape, energy reserves deplete as reproduction approaches. It is a journey of both endurance and inevitability, governed by biological timers that align with seasonal cycles. Migration is not without risk. Storms rise unexpectedly, predators wait along routes, habitats shift with climate change. Yet the persistence of these journeys speaks to the resilience encoded within life. Over millennia, routes adjust gradually. Populations adapt to new conditions while retaining core navigational mechanisms. The code is flexible, allowing survival through change while maintaining continuity. Standing quietly beneath an autumn sky, you might witness a flock passing overhead, their calls faint but purposeful. There is something deeply calming in their steady movement, in the knowledge that they are following pathways older than cities and roads. Their journey reminds us that the planet is interconnected, that seasons pulse in rhythmic cycles affecting creatures large and small. As night deepens, the sky fills with invisible travelers moving across hemispheres, guided by magnetism, sunlight, scent, and stars. Each wing beat, each flipper stroke, each hoofstep aligns with signals woven into the fabric of the natural world. Migration is nature's choreography on a planetary scale, a testament to internal guidance systems so precise they appear almost mystical. Yet they arise from chemistry, physics, and genetic inheritance, elements shaped into coordinated motion. And as you imagine these travelers continuing through moonlit skies and rolling seas, you may feel a quiet reassurance. The world is not random wandering. It is movement guided by embedded knowledge. Animals cross continents not through chance, but through patterns written into their very being. The code in animal migration whispers that life remembers where it belongs, even across vast distances. In that remembrance, there is comfort, a gentle sense that beneath the apparent chaos of the world, direction and purpose are quietly at work, carrying each creature home. Beneath the surface of the earth, in darkness untouched by sunlight, an intricate world stretches quietly in every direction. While forests rise tall above the ground and meadows shimmer in open air, an equally complex network grows below, hidden in cool soil and shadow. Roots extend slowly through grains of sand and particles of clay, weaving between stones, curving around obstacles, pressing gently yet persistently into spaces too small for the eye to see. There is no sound to announce their progress, no visible motion to capture attention, and yet this underground expansion forms one of nature's most intelligent systems. Roots do not wander aimlessly. They explore with sensitivity, responding to gradients of moisture, minerals, pressure, temperature, and even the faint chemical traces left behind by neighboring plants. Imagine kneeling on soft earth after rainfall. The scent rising from the soil carries hints of minerals and life, but beneath your hands, countless root tips are actively sensing their environment. At the very tip of each growing root lies a cluster of cells known as the root cap, protecting delicate tissues as they push forward. Just behind this cap, specialized cells detect gravity, allowing the root to orient downward in a process called gravitropism. Tiny starch-filled structures inside these cells shift in response to gravity's pull, signaling the direction of growth. Even without eyes or a brain, the plant knows which way is down. As roots grow, they release subtle chemical compounds into the surrounding soil. These compounds can alter microbial communities, attract beneficial fungi, or discourage competing plants. In return, microorganisms communicate back through chemical signals of their own. The soil becomes a dynamic exchange of information, a biochemical dialogue carried out molecule by molecule. Through partnerships with mycorrhizal fungi, roots expand their effective reach far beyond their physical length. Fungal threads extend outward like fine silk, absorbing water and nutrients that roots alone could not access. In exchange, the plant provides sugars produced through photosynthesis. This mutual cooperation is not random generosity. It is a balanced transaction shaped by evolutionary code. Even more remarkable is the way roots allocate resources. When one part of the root system encounters nutrient-rich soil, growth intensifies in that direction. Branching increases, fine root hairs multiply, and absorption rises accordingly. Meanwhile, less productive regions may receive fewer resources. This redistribution mirrors decision-making processes, though it unfolds through hormonal gradients rather than conscious thought. Auxins and cytokinins, plant hormones, flow through tissues, adjusting growth rates in response to environmental input. The plant continuously evaluates its surroundings through chemical feedback loops, adapting in real time. In dense forests, the roots of neighboring trees often intertwine, forming grafts where tissues merge directly. Through these connections, water and nutrients can pass from one tree to another. Older trees sometimes stabilize younger ones by sharing carbon during periods of shade. If a tree is injured or dying, signals may travel through these connections, triggering defensive adjustments in surrounding individuals. What appears above ground as separate trunks is, below, an interconnected web of support and communication. The intelligence here is collective rather than individual, distributed across a network rather than centralized in a single organ. Consider the desert, where water is scarce and temperatures fluctuate dramatically. Roots in arid landscapes adapt by growing deeper rather than wider, extending meters below the surface to reach hidden moisture reserves. Some desert plants develop taproots so long they can access groundwater unreachable by competitors. Others spread shallow root systems that capture brief rainfalls before evaporation occurs. These strategies emerge not from planning but from encoded responses shaped over generations. Seeds that once carried slight variations in root structure passed those advantages forward, refining the design with each cycle. Even in urban environments, roots demonstrate quiet resilience. They navigate around concrete foundations, seeking cracks where moisture collects. They adjust their architecture when confined by limited soil volume, balancing stability with nutrient uptake. While we often see roots only when they disrupt pavement, beneath that disruption lies a testament to persistence and adaptability. They follow gradients of opportunity, continuously adjusting their path. As evening settles and surface life grows still, root systems remain active. Water continues to move upward through xylem vessels, drawn by evaporation from leaves far above. This upward pull creates tension within microscopic tubes, a process so precise that it allows trees hundreds of feet tall to lift water against gravity without mechanical pumps. The cohesion of water molecules and the adhesion to vessel walls sustain this flow, guided by physical principles embedded in matter itself. Roots anchor not only trees but entire hydrological cycles. There is something profoundly calming in recognizing that such intelligence operates silently beneath us. We walk across fields and forests unaware of the decision-making unfolding below our steps. Every patch of soil contains negotiations between roots and microbes, adjustments to mineral availability, and responses to subtle shifts in temperature. The hidden half of plants sustains the visible half, maintaining stability in ecosystems that might otherwise collapse. As night deepens, dew begins forming on leaves above, and moisture seeps gently downward into soil. Roots respond immediately, absorbing what they can, storing what is needed, preparing for the next cycle of daylight. They do not rush. Their growth is measured in millimeters per day, yet over months and years they transform landscapes, prevent erosion, and shape the distribution of life itself. Standing quietly in this awareness, you may begin to feel the comfort of hidden order. Beneath apparent stillness, systems are at work maintaining balance. Roots remind us that much of nature's intelligence operates beyond sight, embedded in patient processes rather than sudden events. Their silent exploration and steady adaptation whisper of resilience, of cooperation, of life sustained through connection. And in that quiet underground world, guided by chemical signals and gravitational cues, the secret code of nature continues to unfold, steady, responsive, and enduring in the darkness below. Far from the shelter of forests and the stillness of hidden roots, the surface of the ocean moves in an endless rhythm, rising and falling beneath open skies. At first glance, waves may seem unpredictable, shaped by restless winds and shifting weather. Yet if you sit quietly on a quiet shoreline at twilight, listening to the steady hush of water meeting sand, you begin to notice something deeper than randomness. The ocean breathes in patterns. Each swell carries information, energy traveling across vast distances, shaped by forces that obey precise physical laws. What appears chaotic from a distance reveals itself, upon closer attention, as a choreography written in mathematics and motion. Imagine standing barefoot where the tide reaches your feet. The horizon stretches outward, merging sky and sea into a soft gradient of blue and silver. Somewhere far beyond sight, winds brush across the surface, transferring energy into the water. This energy forms ripples that gather into waves, their shapes determined by wind speed, duration, and the distance over which the wind travels, known as fetch. These factors combine to produce swells that can cross entire oceans without losing coherence. A storm thousands of miles away may send rhythmic pulses toward distant shores days later. The wave that touches your toes began as wind energy far beyond your awareness. Each wave is not a moving body of water, but a moving form. The water itself circles in orbital paths as energy passes through it. Molecules rise and fall in loops, returning nearly to their original positions after each cycle. This circular motion diminishes with depth, which is why diverse descending below the surface find calm even while waves roll above. The pattern is predictable, described by equations that link wavelength, frequency, and speed. Even in the ocean's apparent restlessness, there is structure. As moonlight begins to glow overhead, another influence becomes visible in the steady advance and retreat of tides. the gravitational pull of the moon, and to a lesser degree the sun, exerts a subtle but powerful force on Earth's oceans. Water closest to the moon bulges outward, while water on the opposite side responds to the balancing force of Earth's rotation. This creates rhythmic tides that rise and fall with reliable timing. Coastal communities have tracked these cycles for centuries, aligning fishing, travel, and daily life with their predictable pulse. The code governing tides connects planetary motion with shoreline foam, linking celestial mechanics to the soft hiss of waves on sand. Further offshore, waves interact in complex ways. When two wave systems meet, they can combine through interference. Sometimes their crests align, forming larger swells. At other times, crest meets trough, flattening the surface. These interactions create shifting patterns that seem spontaneous yet obey the principles of superposition. Oceanographers study these phenomena to understand rogue waves, rare, towering swells formed when energy converges in precise alignment. Even these dramatic events arise from mathematical inevitability rather than pure chance. Beneath the surface, long, slow-moving internal waves travel along boundaries where water layers of different densities meet. These hidden waves may stretch for miles, invisible from above yet shaping nutrient distribution and marine life migration. The ocean contains layers within layers, patterns nested inside patterns, each responding to temperature gradients and salinity differences. The interplay between warm equatorial currents and cold polar flows forms vast circulation systems such as the thermohaline conveyor belt, redistributing heat around the planet. This global circulation moderates climate, stabilizing environments that support diverse ecosystems. As dawn approaches, light scatters across rippling water, revealing smaller capillary waves dancing atop larger swells. Surface tension shapes these delicate ripples, their tiny peaks reflecting golden light like shattered glass. The interaction between wind and water creates repeating geometries that shift continuously yet maintain recognizable structure. Even the foam left behind by breaking waves arranges itself into branching patterns reminiscent of fractals, echoing designs seen in leaves and snowflakes. Nature reuses its geometry across elements, adapting it to air, water, and ice alike. If you sit long enough, the rhythm of waves begins to influence your breathing. Inhale as the swell rises. Exhale as it retreats. The body aligns instinctively with the ocean's cadence. Scientists have found that repetitive natural sounds can calm the nervous system, slowing heart rate and encouraging relaxation. Perhaps this is why coastlines feel restorative. The ocean's patterns resonate with our own internal rhythms, creating harmony between environment and organism. Even storms, with their towering surges and crashing breakers, follow structured dynamics. Wind speed increases wave height according to measurable relationships. As waves approach shallow shores, their bases encounter friction with the seabed, slowing while crests continue forward. This imbalance causes waves to steepen and eventually break, releasing stored energy in white cascades. The transformation from smooth swell to breaking surf is governed by depth ratios and gravitational acceleration. It is drama shaped by physics. As evening settles once more, the tide begins its gentle withdrawal, exposing wet sand that mirrors the fading sky. Tiny rivulets form branching channels as water drains back toward the sea, carving miniature deltas that echo river systems seen from space. The same mathematical principles guiding large-scale currents shape these fleeting shoreline patterns. Everything connects through recurring forms. Standing at the water's edge, you may sense that the ocean is not restless chaos but structured motion. Each wave carries encoded information about distant winds, lunar gravity, and Earth's rotation. The sea's surface becomes a living diagram of invisible forces interacting across scales. And in that realization, there is calm. The world may seem unpredictable, yet beneath the surface, consistent laws guide even the most fluid landscapes. As the final light fades and stars emerge above the horizon, waves continue their patient rhythm, advancing and retreating in timeless sequence. Energy travels onward, unseen but constant, linking distant storms to quiet shores. The patterns in ocean waves remind us that movement does not require disorder, and that even the vastest bodies of water follow elegant rules. In their steady rise and fall, we glimpse another chapter of nature's secret code, written not in ink or stone, but in the ceaseless, soothing motion of the sea. In a quiet laboratory illuminated by soft, diffused light, a single cell rests beneath a microscope lens. It appears simple at first glance, almost transparent, suspended in a droplet of fluid. Yet within that microscopic sphere lies one of the most intricate instruction systems in the known universe. Hidden inside its nucleus is a molecule so elegantly structured that it carries the blueprint for growth, repair, adaptation, and continuity. This molecule, DNA, is not loud or visible to the naked eye, but it contains the silent script that shapes every living organism, from the tallest redwood tree to the smallest drifting plankton, from the beating of a whale's heart to the steady rhythm of your own breath. Imagine zooming inward, past the cell membrane, through the cytoplasm, and into the nucleus where threads of genetic material coil with remarkable precision. DNA forms a double helix, two intertwined strands resembling a gently twisted ladder. Along each strand, chemical bases pair in consistent combinations, adenine with thymine, cytosine with guanine. These pairings are not arbitrary. They follow strict molecular compatibility, bonding through hydrogen links that ensure stability. The sequence of these bases forms a language written in 4 letters, yet from this limited alphabet arises infinite variation. Every trait, every structure, every subtle adaptation is encoded in the order of these molecules. The helix itself is a marvel of geometry. It twists at a regular interval, maintaining a diameter so consistent that it allows for accurate replication. When a cell prepares to divide, enzymes unwind the strands carefully, like a zipper opening. Each strand serves as a template for a new partner, ensuring that the genetic code is copied with astonishing fidelity. Errors are rare, and when they occur, repair mechanisms scan and correct mismatches. This process unfolds continuously within your body, trillions of times each day, sustaining tissues and renewing cells without conscious awareness. Yet DNA is not static ink on paper. It responds to signals, turning genes on or off depending on environmental conditions. Specialized proteins bind to specific sequences, initiating transcription, the process by which genetic instructions are converted into messenger molecules. These messengers travel outward to ribosomes, where proteins are assembled like delicate machinery. Proteins shape muscles, catalyze chemical reactions, transport oxygen, and regulate countless processes essential for life. The code does not merely exist. It acts, translating molecular sequences into living function. Step outside the laboratory now and imagine a forest at sunrise. Each leaf, each insect, each bird carries its own variation of this genetic script. Despite their differences, the underlying structure of DNA remains universal. The same double helix connects all living beings on Earth, suggesting a shared ancestry that stretches back billions of years. The code has evolved gradually, branching into diverse forms while preserving core mechanisms. This continuity creates a profound sense of connection, linking all species through common molecular heritage. Within the nucleus, DNA coils around histone proteins, forming structures called chromatin. This packaging allows meters of genetic material to fit inside microscopic spaces. The organization is dynamic, loosening in regions where genes must be expressed and tightening where silence is required. Chemical tags known as epigenetic markers attach to DNA and histones, modifying gene activity without altering the sequence itself. These markers respond to diet, stress, temperature, and experience, subtly adjusting biological responses. The blueprint, therefore, is not rigid but responsive, adapting to circumstances while preserving structure. Consider the embryo developing quietly within a protective environment. From a single fertilized cell, division begins. Cells multiply, differentiate, and organize into tissues and organs. At each stage, specific genes activate while others remain silent, orchestrating development with remarkable precision. The timing is exact, guided by regulatory networks that ensure the heart forms before it beats, that limbs extend in balanced symmetry, that neural connections establish patterns of communication. This unfolding resembles a symphony directed by molecular cues, each note arising at precisely the right moment. Even evolution itself is written into DNA's capacity for change. Occasionally, mutations introduce small variations in sequence. Most are neutral, some are harmful, but a few confer advantages that allow organisms to thrive in new environments. Over generations, these beneficial variations accumulate, shaping adaptation. The code refines itself gradually, responding to climate shifts, ecological pressures, and chance events. It is both stable and flexible, preserving continuity while enabling innovation. As evening falls and you reflect on the quiet complexity within every cell, it becomes clear that life's blueprint operates without fanfare. No sound accompanies replication. No visible light marks gene activation. And yet, from this silent molecular choreography arises consciousness, sensation, growth, and memory. The atoms composing DNA were forged in ancient stars, long before Earth formed. Through cosmic processes, they became part of molecules capable of self-replication. In this sense, the code inside you is both earthly and celestial, shaped by physics and chemistry that span the universe. There is something deeply calming in recognizing this continuity. Beneath the variability of appearance and behavior lies a shared structural language. The same molecular alphabet composes forests, oceans, animals, and humans alike. Differences emerge from sequence, but unity remains in form. The DNA blueprint reminds us that life is interconnected at its most fundamental level, woven together by strands too small to see yet powerful enough to shape worlds. As night deepens and cells within your body continue their steady renewal, the double helix remains quietly at work, preserving instructions refined across billions of years. Its elegance lies not only in its complexity but in its reliability. It replicates with care, adapts with subtlety, and sustains life through patient consistency. In that silent spiral, nature's secret code reveals one of its most profound chapters, a story written in molecules, unfolding continuously within every living being, steady as breath and enduring as time itself. As the late afternoon sun lowers gently toward the horizon, casting long amber light across rolling hills, there is a quiet harmony in the landscape that feels almost intentional. The curve of a distant hillside, the arc of a seashell resting near a quiet shore, the unfurling spiral of a fern in morning dew, each carries a subtle proportion that feels balanced to the human eye. Artists have long searched for this balance, architects have measured it, and mathematicians have named it. It is known as the golden ratio, a number approximately equal to 1.618, and it appears again and again throughout the natural world, woven into forms that feel instinctively beautiful and complete. Imagine holding a nautilus shell in your hand, its pearled surface glowing softly in filtered light. As you trace its curve, you notice how each chamber expands outward in a steady spiral, growing larger but maintaining its shape. This growth pattern follows a logarithmic spiral closely related to the golden ratio, allowing the shell to enlarge without altering its proportions. The creature inside does not need to rebuild its home entirely as it grows. It simply extends the spiral. Efficiency and elegance merge seamlessly in this design. In a quiet garden at dusk, a sunflower tilts its face toward fading light. Look closely at its center, and you will see hundreds of seeds arranged in intersecting spirals, some curving clockwise, others counterclockwise. Count them carefully, and you may find the numbers align with consecutive terms in the Fibonacci sequence, which approximates the golden ratio as it progresses. This arrangement allows seeds to pack tightly without leaving gaps, maximizing space and ensuring structural balance. It is a solution so refined that it repeats across countless flowering plants. The spiral reappears in pine cones, in the arrangement of leaves around a stem, and even in the branching of certain tree limbs. This pattern is not imposed from outside but arises from growth processes responding to space and energy distribution. When new leaves form at specific angular intervals, often close to 137.5 degrees, known as the golden angle, they minimize overlap with older leaves. Sunlight reaches each surface efficiently, and rainwater flows downward without obstruction. The plant's architecture becomes an expression of mathematical optimization. Even beyond plants, the golden ratio whispers through the natural world. The proportions of certain animal bodies, the curvature of horns, and the layout of spiral galaxies echo similar ratios. Though not every instance is exact, the recurrence suggests that certain proportions provide structural stability and efficient growth. The number itself is irrational, extending infinitely without repeating, yet it yields forms that feel grounded and serene. Consider the human body, standing quietly beneath the evening sky. From the length of forearm to hand, from the proportions of facial features to the spiral whirl of fingerprints, echoes of these ratios can sometimes be found. While biology does not adhere perfectly to mathematical ideals, patterns emerge frequently enough to spark curiosity. Perhaps our perception of beauty is influenced by familiarity with these recurring forms, shaped over generations of exposure to balanced proportions in nature. As twilight deepens, imagine looking upward at the spiral arms of a distant galaxy captured through a telescope. The luminous arcs sweep outward from a glowing center, stars scattered along curving lanes. These galactic spirals follow gravitational dynamics rather than botanical growth, yet their shape mirrors the same logarithmic forms seen in shells and flowers. From microscopic structures to cosmic arrangements, the spiral appears as a recurring motif, bridging scales beyond comprehension. The golden ratio is not a mystical force guiding creation, but a consequence of growth processes that favor efficiency and stability. When organisms expand outward while maintaining proportional balance, this ratio often emerges naturally. It reflects how systems evolve to distribute energy evenly, reduce stress, and optimize space. In this sense, the ratio is less a rule imposed and more a pattern discovered, a mathematical fingerprint left behind by natural processes. As night settles fully and stars shimmer overhead, there is comfort in recognizing these repeating proportions. They remind us that the world is not assembled randomly but shaped by underlying principles that favor harmony. The curve of a wave, the arrangement of petals, the spiral of a shell, all arise from forces seeking equilibrium. Even in apparent complexity, simplicity guides formation. Sitting quietly, you may begin to feel that this balance extends inward as well. Your heartbeat follows rhythm. Your breath moves in measured cycles. The very structure of your inner ear contains spiraled forms tuned to perceive sound. Whether by coincidence or convergence, the same mathematical relationships appear in body and landscape alike. The golden ratio becomes not merely a number, but a symbol of connection between perception and pattern. As the final glow of sunset fades and darkness embraces the horizon, the shapes around you remain steady in their proportions. The hills curve softly against the sky. Leaves cluster at precise angles. Seashells rest in perfect arcs shaped by growth and time. The repetition of this ratio across living forms whispers of continuity, of shared design principles unfolding quietly across epochs. In its presence, there is reassurance. Beauty is not accidental. Balance arises from laws embedded within matter itself. The golden ratio reminds us that nature's secret code favors patterns that endure, structures that sustain, and proportions that resonate with the human spirit. And as you breathe slowly beneath the night sky, surrounded by spirals large and small, you may sense that harmony is not imposed upon the world. It is woven into its very fabric, steady and timeless as the turning of the stars. As a gentle breeze stirs the treetops, imagine standing in a quiet clearing at the edge of a forest. The light shifts subtly, carrying hints of change, warmer sunlight filtered through drifting clouds, the faint scent of moist earth, and a coolness beginning to settle in the air. All around you, life responds to imperceptible signals. The planet itself is orchestrating a slow and deliberate rhythm, a cycle that has repeated for millennia, the rhythm of the seasons. Each shift, from spring to summer, autumn to winter, carries encoded instructions that guide the timing of growth, migration, reproduction, and rest. Consider the buds swelling quietly on the branches. Their development is not arbitrary. Photoperiod, the length of daylight, acts as a signal, triggering hormonal changes deep within plant tissues. In spring, increasing light prompts the production of auxins and gibberellins, hormones that stimulate growth. Leaves unfurl in soft spirals, flowers open, and energy stored through the winter transforms into vibrant life. Animals respond in harmony. Birds awaken with increased daylight, insects emerge, and soil organisms accelerate their work. The forest is alive with synchronized awakening, orchestrated by cycles that extend beyond human perception. As summer progresses, sunlight strikes more directly, and the air carries warmth and fragrance. Streams flow more steadily, fed by melted snow from distant mountains. Plants maximize photosynthesis, capturing energy and storing it in leaves, seeds, and roots. This energy fuels the ecosystem. Herbivores graze and feed, predators hunt, and each organism contributes to the ongoing balance. Even unseen microbes respond to seasonal cues, increasing activity in nutrient cycling and decomposition. Nature's timing ensures that life expands in coordination with environmental resources. With the approach of autumn, subtle signals emerge once more. Days shorten and light angles change. Trees detect the decreasing daylight, triggering hormonal responses that slow growth and prepare leaves to fall. Chlorophyll degrades, revealing yellows, reds, and oranges that have been hidden beneath green pigments. Seeds ripen and disperse, providing nourishment for birds, mammals, and humans alike. Animals respond instinctively. Some gather food to store for winter, others prepare for migration, and certain species enter hibernation or torpor. Every action is timed precisely to maximize survival and efficiency, following a code written deep in physiology and environment. Even winter, with its stillness and frost, carries purpose. Water freezes in lakes and streams, insulating aquatic life below. Snow blankets the ground, preserving roots and seeds. Deciduous trees rest, conserving energy until signals from increasing daylight awaken them again. Life does not cease. It slows, adapts, and persists in quiet cycles. Many animals retreat to burrows or hibernate, reducing energy expenditure while relying on stored resources. Microorganisms within soil remain active at a reduced pace, continuing the slow processes that sustain ecosystems. Consider how this rhythm extends beyond individual species. The timing of flowering plants is often synchronized with pollinators. Migratory birds align their arrival with the emergence of insects and blooming flora. Fish spawn according to water temperature and day length. Even fungi and mosses adjust growth to seasonal moisture patterns. The entire planet participates in a grand orchestration, each element responding to a combination of solar cues, gravitational patterns, and temperature shifts. From year to year, the rhythm remains astonishingly precise, yet flexible. Climate variations may shift the timing slightly, and organisms adapt in response. Seeds may germinate earlier after a warm winter, birds may adjust migratory routes, and trees may bud at slightly different times. The system balances stability with adaptability, maintaining continuity while accommodating change. It is a living code that is simultaneously rigid and dynamic. As evening falls and frost begins to lace the edges of leaves, the quiet of winter reminds us of the beauty in slowing down. Rivers still flow beneath ice, winds whisper across hills, and stars reflect faintly on snow. Life conserves energy while remaining connected to cycles that will awaken it once more. Observing this rhythm instills a sense of calm. The world continues according to natural patterns, unaffected by urgency, progressing with deliberate consistency. Even human activities have long been guided by this cycle. Agricultural practices, festivals, and cultural traditions often align with seasonal transitions, echoing the intrinsic timing found in nature. In some ways, we are participants in a rhythm we cannot fully control, attuned to the same celestial and terrestrial cues that guide every living organism. Standing quietly beneath an expansive sky, you may feel the reassurance of continuity. The rhythm of seasons teaches patience. Growth is measured, rest is essential, and every phase contributes to the stability of life. Nature's secret code is embedded not just in organisms but in time itself, unfolding predictably across years and generations. The changing light, temperature, and moisture act as signals that direct the flow of life, maintaining balance across the planet. And as night descends fully, with stars twinkling faintly above frost-kissed Earth, you may sense the comfort in this order. The rhythm of seasons continues unabated, guiding growth, rest, and renewal. It is slow, consistent, and deeply reassuring, a gentle reminder that life is a continuous cycle, unfolding in harmony with natural laws, steady as breath, patient as the turning of the earth itself. In the fading light of dusk, imagine pausing near a quiet pond or at the edge of a forest. Something stirs in the shadows, perhaps a fox slipping silently among fallen leaves, or a fish gliding just beneath the water's surface. Their eyes, often overlooked, are portals to another layer of nature's secret code, revealing adaptations and patterns refined over millions of years. Animal eyes are not simply tools for sight. They are intricate instruments, optimized to capture light, motion, and color in ways that feel almost magical. Consider the compound eyes of a dragonfly hovering above the reeds. Thousands of tiny lenses, called ommatidia, form a mosaic-like surface that captures multiple images simultaneously. The result is an incredibly wide field of view and extraordinary motion detection. A subtle shift in sunlight glints across these lenses, yet the insect perceives the world with precision and speed far beyond human capability. The geometry of these eyes, the hexagonal arrangement of facets, resembles the efficiency seen in honeycomb structures, a repeating pattern that maximizes coverage while minimizing material. Each facet is a miniature sensor, and together they create an almost panoramic vision. In contrast, the deep-set eyes of an owl allow for focused, low-light vision. Its pupils dilate and contract, adjusting to dim moonlight as it glides silently above forest floors. Rod cells within the retina are densely packed, enhancing sensitivity to faint illumination. Tiny muscles subtly alter the curvature of the lens, sharpening images at precise distances. Nocturnal predators rely on this specialized design to hunt efficiently without startling prey, and every anatomical detail, from the shape of the eyelids to the reflective layer behind the retina, serves a specific function, guided by natural laws and evolutionary refinement. Beneath the water's surface, the eyes of a cuttlefish reveal another remarkable adaptation. These creatures perceive polarized light, detecting subtle differences in how light waves oscillate after reflecting off surfaces. The patterning in their eyes allows them to interpret contrast in a world of shifting currents and refractions, enhancing their ability to spot prey and predators alike. These optical structures are so sophisticated that scientists continue to study them for insights into advanced imaging technologies. The coding of visual information here is both biological and optical, merging physics with life. Consider a simple deer pausing on a meadow at twilight. Its eyes are positioned to provide a wide-angle view of the surroundings, allowing detection of predators with minimal movement. The shape of the pupil, often horizontal, spreads light evenly across the retina, stabilizing images during grazing and motion. The orientation and curvature of the cornea, lens, and retina work in concert to transform light into electrical signals interpreted by the brain. Evolutionary pressures have refined these systems over countless generations, encoding survival strategies into cellular architecture. Even colors are coded with intent. Birds such as hummingbirds perceive ultraviolet patterns on flowers invisible to humans, guiding them to nectar sources. Insects and fish detect wavelengths beyond human perception, navigating their environments with a sensory richness that feels alien. Patterns within the retina, the arrangement of photoreceptor cells, and the processing of light information combine to form an experience of the world entirely unique to each species. The secret code here is not simply light detection. It is interpretation and optimization, tailored for survival and efficiency. In predators like cats, the vertical slit pupil adjusts rapidly, allowing both sharp focus and wide visual sensitivity. This design provides precise depth perception for stalking, while simultaneously conserving energy in retinal processing. Even the reflection of light from the tapetum lucidum behind the retina enhances night vision, a natural mirror that amplifies photons and maximizes available light. Every element contributes to a balance of function and energy efficiency, a harmonious design written in molecular and optical patterns. Consider fish in coral reefs, whose eyes adjust to water's refraction and color filtration. The wavelengths of sunlight change with depth, yet the retina adapts, emphasizing colors relevant to survival, mate selection, and predator detection. Certain species can perceive polarized light, enhancing contrast in complex underwater environments. These patterns in vision are not static. They adjust dynamically with depth, angle, and time of day, demonstrating a code that is responsive and context-aware. Even humans, with eyes designed for broad daylight and rich color perception, share these coded principles. The arrangement of rods and cones, the shape of the lens, and the structure of the iris reflect an elegant solution to capturing, focusing, and processing light. Across species, eyes are not random organs. They are systems built with precision, efficiency, and evolutionary wisdom, each one tailored to a specific environment and lifestyle. As night deepens and moonlight reflects off the surfaces of lakes and eyes alike, you may sense the subtle beauty in this design. The world animals perceive is richer and more complex than our own, yet it arises from patterns repeated in cellular and optical architecture, harmonized with physics and light. Eyes reveal a hidden language in nature, one of geometry, adaptation, and information transfer, silently guiding survival, perception, and behavior. In their quiet brilliance, animal eyes remind us that vision is not merely seeing. It is decoding, interpreting, and responding. Patterns in the natural world are reflected back to us through the lens of every gaze, every blink, and every motion, showing that the secret code of life operates not only in molecules or growth but in perception itself. And as you close your own eyes beneath the starlit sky, you may feel the world around you as if through countless silent observers, each one decoding light and life in harmony with the hidden rhythms of nature. As dawn barely tints the sky, imagine standing atop a quiet hill, the grass swaying gently beneath your feet. Around you, the air moves in invisible currents, brushing softly against skin and leaf. Wind, though intangible, carries information across vast distances. It shapes clouds, disperses seeds, guides weather, and whispers messages through the atmosphere that few humans notice, yet every organism responds in subtle ways. Nature communicates through these currents, and the code embedded in air is both ancient and ongoing. Consider how the wind interacts with trees. Branches bend and leaves tremble in patterns dictated by speed, direction, and turbulence. Over centuries, forests adapt to prevailing winds. Trunks grow stronger on windward sides, roots anchor more firmly, and leaf orientation adjusts to minimize damage. Even the shapes of coastal plants reflect the persistent shaping of air over time, demonstrating that movement of invisible gases leaves permanent marks in living forms. This is a silent dialogue between Earth's atmosphere and the organisms it sustains. Far above, clouds drift across the horizon, sculpted by airflow and thermal gradients. Rising warm air meets cooler currents, forming towering cumulonimbus structures or soft wispy cirrus streaks. These formations encode environmental conditions, humidity, temperature, and pressure, creating a visual record of the forces at play. Pilots and weather scientists have long interpreted these codes, reading the sky to anticipate storms, rainfall, or gentle breezes. In nature, birds sense these subtle shifts, adjusting flight paths in response to pressure changes, navigating by patterns invisible to humans. Wind also carries chemical signals. Scents from flowers, forests, and distant fields travel in air currents, alerting pollinators, herbivores, and predators. A bee may detect the fragrance of a blooming plant miles away, guided by molecules riding on invisible currents. Similarly, animals such as wolves, deer, and even tiny insects detect pheromones transported by wind, allowing communication without sight or sound. The atmosphere becomes a medium for biological messaging, transmitting cues silently yet precisely across landscapes. In deserts, the wind shapes dunes, pushing grains of sand into undulating ridges that stretch endlessly. These patterns form naturally, following principles of erosion, deposition, and friction. The shapes may shift over days or centuries, yet each formation reflects the forces acting upon it. Creatures inhabiting these regions, lizards, beetles, and small mammals respond to these subtle changes, adjusting burrow entrances, movement paths, and foraging strategies according to the shifting landscape. The code of wind writes itself into the very terrain. Even on oceans, wind plays a guiding role. Surface currents respond to atmospheric movement, shaping waves, upwelling nutrients, and distributing heat across the globe. Sailors, long before modern instruments, read the wind to navigate seas. Birds riding air currents expend less energy, gliding effortlessly across vast distances, their migration synchronized with invisible atmospheric highways. The patterns of wind, though imperceptible to most humans, dictate movement, survival, and energy efficiency across ecosystems. High in the mountains, the wind carries temperature gradients that signal seasonal changes. Glacial ridges, snowfields, and alpine vegetation all respond to prevailing gusts. Plants in these regions often develop low, sturdy forms to resist damage, and animals adjust their habits to the timing and intensity of airflows. Even sounds are altered. Howls and calls carry differently depending on air density, temperature, and turbulence, subtly influencing communication among species. At night, the wind calms in some regions while remaining active in others. Moonlight illuminates the surface of lakes and fields, and the gentle movement of air across them produces ripples and rustling sounds. These motions create a sensory environment that is both soothing and structured. Researchers have discovered that wind-generated sounds can induce relaxation in humans, mirroring the patterns found in nature. The atmosphere itself becomes a conductor of rhythm, shaping perception and mood. Consider the code embedded in seasonal wind patterns. Monsoons, trade winds, and polar jet streams all follow consistent trajectories influenced by Earth's rotation, solar heating, and pressure systems. Plants, animals, and even humans have evolved in response to these rhythms. Seeds germinate with seasonal rainfall, birds migrate with predictable airflows, and ocean currents adjust to shifting wind patterns. Life itself aligns with atmospheric codes, an unseen choreography spanning the globe. Standing quietly on that hill, you may sense the invisible threads connecting air, land, and life. The wind carries stories of distant forests, deserts, and oceans. It informs, protects, and shapes, linking places and creatures with silent precision. In its gentle brushing or fierce gust, the atmosphere communicates tirelessly, following principles as ancient as the planet itself. And as night deepens and the moon reflects softly across the landscape, the whispering winds continue their invisible journey, carrying coded messages that life has learned to read. There is reassurance in this quiet communication, a reminder that the planet is alive, responsive, and harmonized, and that even in stillness, information flows steadily through the air, guiding the movements, growth, and survival of all living beings. As darkness settles over the ocean or forest floor, imagine the world transforming in ways invisible during daylight. In deep waters, in hidden caves, and under the canopy of dense forests, life begins to glow. Bioluminescence, the ability of organisms to produce their own light, reveals one of nature's most delicate and enchanting codes. This is not mere decoration. It is communication, camouflage, hunting, and survival, written in chemistry and biology, flickering softly in rhythm with life's hidden patterns. Picture a calm bay at night. Tiny plankton, suspended in the dark water, emit gentle blue sparks as they drift. A passing fish disturbs them, and the glowing organisms flare briefly, like scattered stars responding to movement. These flashes are signals, a warning, a means to confuse predators, or simply a response to disturbance. Each blink is timed, precise, and consistent within the species' chemical system. The glow is produced by luciferin molecules interacting with oxygen under the catalysis of enzymes called luciferases. It is chemistry transformed into visual language, a secret code unfolding silently beneath the waves. Deeper in the ocean, lanternfish and other midwater dwellers carry lights along their bodies. Photophores line their scales in specific arrangements, patterns unique to each species. These lights allow them to find mates, communicate with neighbors, and avoid predators by blending with the faint downwelling light from the surface. In the inky darkness, visibility is limited, and light becomes a currency of survival. Every flicker, every beam is an instruction, an encoded signal deciphered by those evolved to interpret it. In tropical forests, fireflies emerge at dusk, floating gently above grass and leaf litter. Their lanterns pulse rhythmically, creating sequences that attract mates and coordinate communal activity. The timing of flashes is precise, seconds of illumination followed by measured darkness. Each species has its own pattern, a private code spoken in light. Observing these tiny lanterns, one may feel the forest itself breathing softly, as if the trees, insects, and air share a hidden rhythm beyond human perception. Even terrestrial fungi and algae exhibit bioluminescence. Glowing mushrooms cast faint green or blue light on the forest floor, marking decay or releasing spores in synchrony with nightly cycles. In caves, colonies of luminous organisms paint walls in delicate strokes, guiding tiny creatures through otherwise impenetrable darkness. These lights are subtle and purposeful, revealing that information in nature often travels through unconventional channels. Not by sound, not by touch, but by illumination. The code within bioluminescent organisms is intricate. Molecular triggers, environmental cues, and internal biological clocks synchronize to produce light at the right moment. Timing, intensity, and wavelength are carefully regulated. Some fish adjust brightness with depth. Fireflies alter flash frequency based on the presence of rivals or mates. The system is dynamic, responsive, and elegantly efficient. Imagine drifting through the ocean midwater zone. Tiny lights shimmer in vertical columns, rising and sinking in waves of bioluminescent pulses. These flashes create illusions, breaking up the silhouette of organisms and confusing predators. Light becomes armor, a tool, and a signal all at once. Even the ocean's vast darkness is not empty. It is filled with coded illumination, a hidden language that life has evolved to read and respond to over millions of years. High above, at night in forests and grasslands, one can sometimes see synchronized firefly displays. Entire patches of vegetation pulse in unison, like living chandeliers. These displays coordinate reproduction, deter competitors, and maintain species identity. Observing them instills a sense of calm and wonder. Life has found a way to communicate and thrive in the absence of sunlight, creating beauty from function. In the deep sea, some predators use bioluminescence to lure prey. Anglerfish, with their luminous appendages, dangle light in the black water, drawing curious creatures close. The code here is subtle deception. The light mimics smaller animals or reflects environmental cues to attract the unwary. Each organism interprets these signals with instincts encoded over countless generations, forming a communication system of light and response. As night deepens and the stars reflect faintly on the water, the glow of bioluminescence continues undisturbed. Waves break, leaves rustle, and shadows of creatures flicker across the illuminated surfaces. The light is soft, intermittent, and mesmerizing. It is a reminder that communication in nature extends beyond human perception. Signals can travel silently in darkness, interpreted only by those equipped to understand them. Sitting quietly, one may feel a deep sense of wonder and calm. The hidden light of the world operates on a rhythm all its own, guiding survival, growth, and connection in ways we rarely witness. Bioluminescence teaches patience and observation, showing that even in darkness, information flows and life persists. The secret code is glowing quietly beneath the surface, a reminder that nature's brilliance often lies in subtlety, in rhythm, and in light born from life itself. Beneath the surface of the earth, in caverns hidden from sunlight, a quiet transformation unfolds. Mineral-rich waters seep slowly through cracks and crevices, depositing atoms one by one. Over centuries, these atoms arrange themselves with remarkable precision, forming crystals that glimmer like frozen light. Their symmetry is not accidental. It is a manifestation of nature's secret code, written in geometry, chemistry, and time. Each crystal is a record of forces invisible to the eye, a silent structure formed in perfect alignment with the rules of matter itself. Imagine stepping into a crystal-filled cave. Stalactites descend from above, their points sharp and precise. Stalagmites rise from the floor, reaching toward their counterparts. Some merge into columns, creating natural architecture shaped by the patient drip of mineral-saturated water. The formations are governed by crystallization processes that follow atomic patterns, repeating lattices that determine the external shape: hexagonal, cubic, tetragonal. Each symmetry tells a story of molecular arrangement, temperature, pressure, and chemical composition. On a smaller scale, gemstones capture this hidden order. Quartz, amethyst, and calcite reveal internal patterns invisible to the naked eye. Under polarized light, their lattice structures become vivid, displaying uniformity across microscopic dimensions. Nature follows the same rules here that guide massive rock formations. Atoms seek balance, bonds stabilize, and growth occurs in directions that optimize stability and energy efficiency. The result is exquisite, silent geometry, encoded in the smallest components of matter. Even snowflakes are crystalline masterpieces. Each flake begins as a tiny ice crystal forming around a dust particle in a cloud. As it falls, the surrounding temperature and humidity influence its growth, producing delicate six-sided patterns. Though no two snowflakes are identical, they all adhere to the basic rules of symmetry dictated by the molecular structure of water. The repetition of angles, branching, and fractal-like designs is a visual manifestation of order emerging from chaos, a fleeting record of environmental conditions captured in frozen form. Consider mineral veins running through rock. Layers of different materials alternate, following slow geological processes. Pressure and temperature dictate alignment, producing patterns that trace the history of tectonic movements. The orientation of crystals within these veins provides clues to the stresses and flows that shape the Earth over millions of years. Each layer, each lattice, is a message preserved in stone, an encrypted record of forces invisible to us yet obeyed with unerring consistency. Even in everyday landscapes, crystalline order shapes what we see. Salt flats form hexagonal tiles, mud cracks arrange into polygonal patterns, and frost on windows creates branching dendrites. These patterns arise naturally from the way molecules bond, expand, and contract, creating predictable forms from fundamental rules. Nature favors symmetry and efficiency, encoding these principles in structures both grand and delicate. Under gentle light, crystals catch and scatter beams, producing subtle rainbows and sparkles. The refractive properties, determined by internal symmetry and density, create visual effects that seem almost magical. Sunlight passing through a prism, gemstone, or ice crystal reveals hidden geometry, making visible the precise arrangement of atoms within. In these silent displays, the code of nature is revealed as light dances through order. Deep within caves or high in mountains, mineral formations respond to environmental cues. Changes in humidity, temperature, and pressure affect crystal growth subtly, creating variations while preserving symmetry. Even imperfections, when viewed closely, reveal adaptive responses to constraints. The crystal structure maintains balance, accommodating challenges while retaining core geometry. In rivers, minerals crystallize as sediment settles. Layers of gypsum, calcite, or other minerals grow slowly, forming patterns reminiscent of waves or spirals. These formations not only encode the chemical history of their environment but influence ecosystems, providing surfaces for microbial life, habitats for invertebrates, and substrates for plant growth. Life itself interacts with these structures, reading the codes encoded over time. Standing quietly in a crystalline cavern or observing the sparkle of frost under moonlight, one may feel the serene precision of the Earth's hidden architecture. Crystals and minerals do not rush. They grow according to immutable rules, forming beauty that transcends human perception. Each structure, each lattice, is a chapter in nature's ongoing story, demonstrating order emerging from time, chemistry, and patient energy. And as night deepens, shadows accentuate the geometry, revealing angles, planes, and curves that reflect light softly, creating a world both still and alive. The hidden symmetry of crystals reminds us that even the smallest particles obey a silent code, that order exists beneath apparent randomness, and that the Earth itself is a storyteller, writing messages in stone, ice, and mineral that endure far beyond a single lifetime. In the golden haze of early morning, imagine standing on a quiet meadow as the sun slowly rises. Above, the sky is alive with motion. A flock of birds arcs gracefully in unison, twisting and turning as if guided by invisible strings. Nearby, insects form swarming clouds, moving with astonishing coordination. These movements are not random. They follow an underlying code, a choreography written into instinct, perception, and simple rules that together create breathtaking patterns. Consider the murmuration of starlings at dusk. Thousands of birds shift, bank, and spiral together, forming flowing ribbons of motion against the fading sky. Each bird responds to its closest neighbors, adjusting speed and direction in fractions of a second. There is no central leader, yet the entire flock moves as a single, cohesive entity. Scientists studying these formations have found that rules of alignment, cohesion, and separation govern the group, creating patterns that are at once complex, fluid, and mesmerizing. Insects provide another demonstration. Swarming bees, locusts, or midges move in dense clusters, responding to subtle visual and chemical cues. Each individual reacts to its neighbors, adjusting movement while maintaining proximity and avoiding collisions. From the ground, the swarm appears chaotic, yet it unfolds according to emergent rules. The resulting patterns protect individuals, facilitate navigation, and optimize resource gathering. The swarm itself becomes a living organism, with intelligence embedded in collective behavior rather than a single mind. Fish in shallow bays exhibit similar coordination. Schools move like liquid, glinting with silver as they twist and shift in response to predators or changes in light. Each fish monitors only its immediate neighbors, yet the entire school can make turns, compress, or expand almost instantaneously. Waves of motion ripple through the group, creating patterns that confuse predators while preserving safety for individuals. Observing this silent ballet, one feels the elegance of nature's code, simplicity in rules producing infinite variation in form. Even mammals display coordinated behavior. Wildebeest herds crossing vast plains, or caribou moving in synchronized migration, respond to environmental cues and social signals. Each movement carries information: where water lies, where danger lurks, or how terrain changes. Coordination reduces risk and increases efficiency, a living algorithm enacted in slow, deliberate steps. The choreography emerges from countless individual actions, yet the overall pattern is harmonious. These coordinated movements are guided by sensory inputs and instinctive responses. Vision, touch, vibration, and chemical signals inform each participant, while behavioral rules encoded by evolution guide reaction speed, distance maintenance, and alignment with neighbors. From microscopic midges to vast whale pods, the principles are remarkably consistent. Nature relies on repetition and feedback, creating emergent order without centralized control. Patterns vary depending on context. Predatory pressure produces tighter formations, feeding generates expansion, migration produces sweeping arcs. Even environmental structures, trees, water currents, or mountain ranges, shape collective movement. The choreography adapts constantly, balancing efficiency, safety, and energy conservation. What appears spontaneous is deeply structured, a visual manifestation of encoded rules unfolding in real time. Standing quietly on that meadow, one may sense the calming effect of these patterns. Watching flocks rise and fall, swirl and twist, the eyes naturally follow motion, the mind relaxing as rhythm and repetition unfold. This visual harmony, born of survival and instinct, resonates with our innate sense of order. The secret code embedded in collective motion demonstrates that nature's intelligence is often distributed, subtle, and profoundly beautiful. Even nighttime phenomena follow similar principles. Fireflies in swarms, bats emerging from caves, or plankton moving with tidal currents exhibit collective behavior shaped by both environment and biological imperatives. Each movement encodes information, guiding others and maintaining group cohesion. Nature communicates through motion as fluently as it does through light, sound, or chemical signals. The hidden choreography of flocks and swarms teaches patience, observation, and wonder. Patterns emerge without a central plan, yet order prevails. Complexity arises from simplicity, beauty from repetition, and harmony from interaction. As you breathe slowly beneath the vast sky, watching wings, fins, or tiny bodies move in concert, you may sense the comfort of rhythm, the reassurance of continuity, and the quiet intelligence written into the world's living systems. And as the sun rises fully, bathing the meadow in gentle warmth, the flocks begin to disperse, swarms drift back into the air, and the dance continues elsewhere, invisible yet ongoing. The secret code of coordinated motion flows silently through life, connecting species, environments, and ecosystems in a ballet both timeless and mesmerizing. In the quiet pre-dawn, imagine sitting on the moss-covered bank of a slow-moving river. Mist rises gently from the water's surface, curling into the air like wisps of smoke. The river moves with a steady pulse, carving its path through rocks, forests, and valleys. Its flow is neither rushed nor chaotic. It follows an invisible code, a rhythm dictated by gravity, geology, and the subtle interactions between water and terrain. The current, the ripples, the soft lapping at the shore, all create a quiet symphony, a calming heartbeat of the natural world. Observe how the water navigates obstacles. Rocks, fallen logs, and river bends guide the current, splitting and rejoining streams with intricate precision. Turbulence forms small eddies and whirlpools, circulating nutrients and oxygen, while calmer stretches allow sediment to settle and seeds to take root. Each movement is purposeful, maintaining balance between erosion, deposition, and the sustenance of life along its path. The river is a teacher of patience, showing that even constant motion can be measured and gentle. Look deeper, beneath the surface, and life is revealed in harmony with the current. Fish glide effortlessly, adjusting fin strokes to exploit the flow. Aquatic insects drift or cling to rocks, taking advantage of pockets of slow water. Plants anchor themselves in specific zones, their roots contoured to withstand pressure while accessing nutrients. Every organism responds to the river's subtle cues, tuned to the timing and energy of the water around it. The code of survival here is written in movement, flexibility, and perception. During seasonal floods, the pulse of the river strengthens. Waters rise, spreading nutrients across floodplains, carving new channels, and replenishing ecosystems. Trees and grasses sway in the rising current, adapting to the temporary inundation. Even as chaos seems to unfold on the surface, physics governs every drop, and life responds with remarkable resilience. Energy is distributed, sediment transported, and the land reshaped, all without haste, without disorder. The patterns of flow vary with temperature, precipitation, and terrain. Mountain streams cascade over rocks, creating rhythmic splashes and murmurs. In meadows, rivers widen, slowing to gentle laps against the shore. In each setting, sound and motion carry information. Subtle shifts in speed can indicate underwater obstacles. Small changes in color may reveal mineral content or algae presence. Animals learn to read these signals, using the river as both pathway and guide. Even in winter, when ice forms along edges, the river continues its rhythm. Flow beneath the frozen surface persists, quieter but steady. Sediment, oxygen, and nutrients continue to move, sustaining life beneath the ice. The pulse is subtle, a hidden heartbeat echoing beneath a layer of stillness, demonstrating that movement need not always be visible to exist. Consider rivers at night, illuminated by moonlight or bioluminescent organisms. The water reflects the sky while continuing its journey, a flowing mirror of both celestial and terrestrial rhythms. Tiny currents interact, forming miniature whirlpools and soft ripples that spread outward, their motion precise yet infinitely variable. The river communicates in these gentle patterns, guiding creatures, shaping habitats, and silently encoding information about the surrounding environment. Even rivers joining the sea follow a code of transition. Freshwater meets saltwater in estuaries, creating gradients in salinity and temperature. Organisms navigate these zones carefully, timing migrations, spawning, and feeding according to the subtle cues carried by the moving water. The pulse of the river extends outward, influencing the tides and ocean currents, connecting inland landscapes to the vast expanse of the sea. Sitting quietly by the bank, one may notice the calming effect of the rhythmic water. The gentle gurgle of a bend, the whisper of ripples over stones, the soft splash of a fish, these sounds harmonize with the mind and body, slowing thought, steadying breath, and inducing a sense of stillness. The river is not only a physical system but a natural meditation, a flowing guide to harmony and continuity. As sunlight rises fully, glinting off the rippling surface, the river continues its silent journey, unstoppable yet measured, chaotic yet patterned. Its pulse is a lesson in patience, adaptation, and balance. Every bend, every ripple, every drop contributes to the ongoing story of life, carrying with it the secret code of motion, connection, and survival. As twilight softens the forest, imagine pausing beside a cluster of dew-drenched leaves. There, suspended between branches, glimmers a spider's web. It hangs silently, catching the last traces of fading light, each strand perfectly placed. At first glance, it appears fragile and delicate, but closer inspection reveals precise geometry, a hidden code of tension, symmetry, and function. Spider webs are living diagrams, created with patience and skill, translating instinct into mathematical elegance. Observe the radial lines stretching outward from the center, each thread taut and purposeful. Concentric spirals interconnect these radial beams, forming a lattice that balances strength and flexibility. The spider begins its construction by sensing environmental cues, wind direction, branch placement, and surface attachment points. It calculates distance intuitively, spacing threads with astonishing consistency. The result is a web that can capture prey, withstand weather, and optimize energy with minimal material. Every line is both structure and signal. The silk itself is remarkable. Though finer than a human hair, it has incredible tensile strength and elasticity. Proteins within the silk polymerize to create threads that absorb energy without breaking. Some threads are sticky to trap prey, while others remain dry to provide scaffolding. Even the color and reflectivity of silk can be adjusted, subtly catching moonlight or remaining invisible to the naked eye. Nature's code here is embedded not only in the pattern but in the material itself, merging form and function. Watch as a spider moves along its web, testing tension and making repairs. Tiny vibrations travel along threads, informing the spider about prey, environmental shifts, or intrusions. Each response is instantaneous, guided by specialized receptors sensitive to minute changes. The web becomes an extension of the spider's senses, a living antenna tuned to its surroundings. Communication occurs without sound or movement, yet it is immediate and precise, a secret code of vibration, tension, and position. Different species create webs adapted to specific environments and prey. Orb-weaving spiders construct circular, highly symmetrical webs. Funnel web spiders build dense sheets with hidden retreats. Cobweb spiders spin irregular, three-dimensional traps. Each design reflects evolutionary solutions to environmental challenges, maximizing efficiency while conserving energy. The geometry is functional but also visually striking, a testament to the interplay of instinct and natural law. Consider the effect of light and moisture. Early morning dew outlines the web, revealing its perfect symmetry. Sunlight reflecting off silk creates glimmers that seem deliberate, though they result naturally from the web's orientation. Rain, wind, and temperature influence thread tension, prompting repairs and adjustments. The web is dynamic, constantly adapting while preserving core geometric patterns. Stability emerges from continuous minor corrections, a process repeated countless times over generations. Even the placement of webs within landscapes follows subtle rules. Forest edges, meadows, and gardens all influence orientation. Webs are positioned to maximize prey capture, avoid strong winds, and benefit from structural support. The environment itself becomes part of the code, shaping construction in ways that are invisible yet highly effective. Spiders interpret these environmental cues instinctively, creating structures that embody both adaptability and perfection. Tiny prey trapped in the web triggers vibrations that communicate location and size to the spider. The pattern of oscillations is decoded instantly, guiding movement and strategy. Some spiders sense minute differences in frequency to distinguish between wind, debris, or struggling insects. The web acts as a translator, converting environmental signals into actionable information, a system as elegant as it is silent. Even abandoned webs tell stories. Their shape reflects the original construction process, the size and type of prey targeted, and environmental influences over time. Decomposition and where leave traces of geometry and stress patterns, encoding history in a subtle language of lines and angles. Observing a forgotten web becomes an exercise in reading nature's quiet messages, a study of design, adaptation, and resilience. As night deepens, dew glistens on the threads, and the web seems to shimmer under moonlight. The symmetry, precision, and responsiveness of this delicate structure instill a sense of calm. Nature's code is revealed not only in chemical and genetic structures but in physical design, motion, and interaction. The hidden geometry of spider webs demonstrates that complexity can emerge from simple rules, that order can be woven into apparent fragility, and that even the smallest creatures follow codes of survival and beauty with quiet mastery. In the quiet heart of a forest, imagine running your fingers along the rough bark of an ancient tree. Within its core lies a hidden story, a code written in concentric rings that record decades, even centuries, of growth. Each ring is a chapter in the life of the tree, shaped by sunlight, rainfall, temperature, and the subtle rhythms of the seasons. The forest remembers through these patterns, a living archive that preserves the history of the environment and the silent persistence of life. Observe a freshly cut stump, its cross-section revealing countless rings. Dark rings mark slower growth during colder, drier years, while lighter, wider rings indicate periods of abundance. The variation is not random, it is nature's record of time, a barcode of conditions encoded in cellulose and lignin. Each layer forms in response to external forces, translating the passage of years into visible patterns. Even stress events, drought, fire, insect infestations, leave marks that scientists can read, tracing the resilience of the tree and the history of the ecosystem around it. Beyond the individual tree, the forest itself holds memory. Trees of the same species growing under similar conditions often display comparable ring patterns, a subtle synchrony that reflects collective responses to climate cycles. This shared coding enables ecologists to reconstruct regional environmental changes spanning centuries, revealing shifts in rainfall, temperature, and disturbances long before humans recorded history. The forest becomes both narrator and archive, its growth rings preserving stories of survival, adaptation, and continuity. Inside each ring, microscopic structures form with astonishing precision. Vessels transport water, fibers provide strength, and storage tissues regulate energy. The arrangement of these cells varies subtly from year to year, optimizing efficiency for prevailing conditions. Nature's code is written at multiple scales, molecular, cellular, and macroscopic, all working in harmony to sustain growth and life. Even without consciousness, the tree encodes information about its environment, a living diary recorded in wood. The spiral patterns of branches and leaves above often mirror the ring structures below, forming a continuous geometry from roots to canopy. Light captured by leaves fuels growth, while water carried upward nourishes each layer. Together, these patterns reveal a quiet symmetry between energy capture, structural support, and the recording of time. Every ring, every branch, every leaf participates in a delicate dance of form and function, following the same secret principles that govern spiral shells, flower petals, and crystalline lattices. Consider trees surviving extreme events. A lightning strike scars the trunk, creating darkened tissue that persists for decades. Drought narrows rings, while floods may create irregular layers. Each anomaly encodes a story of resilience, a lesson in adaptation. The tree's growth is continuous yet responsive, reflecting a balance between stability and flexibility. In these rings, time and environment converge, producing a visual and structural narrative that bridges centuries. Even fallen trees continue to communicate through their rings. As with decays, patterns of decay reveal gradients in density, moisture, and nutrient composition. Mosses, fungi, and insects colonize the layers, interacting with the encoded history of growth and environmental response. Life continues to interpret the tree's secret code, extending its message beyond the lifespan of the living organism. Standing quietly among towering trunks, one may sense the passage of time etched into the forest. Each ring represents patience, endurance, and the subtle intelligence of life responding to its surroundings. There is a rhythm in this growth, a slow cadence that mirrors the heartbeat of the planet itself. Observing rings is an exercise in mindfulness, a gentle reminder that life progresses steadily, encoding experiences and environmental lessons along the way. As twilight deepens and the forest floor grows soft in shadow, the rings remind us of continuity. Life persists through centuries of change, growth, and challenge. The forest is not simply a collection of trees, it is a living record, a repository of nature's code, and a silent teacher of time, resilience, and adaptation. The hidden patterns within tree rings show that even in apparent stillness, information is preserved, wisdom is stored, and life continues its measured, beautiful rhythm. In the soft glow of morning, imagine walking slowly through a forest, feeling the cool air against your skin. Your eyes drift down to the leaves above and below, and you notice something remarkable, a delicate network of veins branching across each surface. At first glance, it may seem like mere decoration, but closer inspection reveals a sophisticated system, an intricate code that balances function, efficiency, and beauty. Leaf veins are nature's blueprint, a living map of life, distributing water, nutrients, and energy while following hidden mathematical patterns. Observe the central vein, or midrib, stretching from stem to tip. From it, secondary veins branch out in repeating patterns, forming grids, arcs, or spirals. These patterns often follow principles seen in fractals or the Fibonacci sequence, optimizing flow and strength while minimizing material usage. Water, dissolved nutrients, and sugars travel through this network with precision, reaching every cell in the leaf. Every vein is both a conduit and a structural support, balancing flexibility with rigidity, resilience with efficiency. The network adapts to shape, size, and environmental conditions. Leaves in shaded understories may have finer, denser venation to maximize resource distribution in low light. Leaves in high winds develop thicker, more reinforced veins to resist tearing. Seasonal changes alter the flow of sap and nutrients, subtly shifting the leaf's internal dynamics. Even small deviations encode information about stress, growth, or environmental adaptation. Each leaf is a living document of its history, responding dynamically to its surroundings. In some species, the arrangement of veins allows for self-repair. Minor tears or breaks are bypassed as fluids reroute through alternative pathways, maintaining function while preserving the leaf's overall integrity. The code of veins is resilient, dynamic, and remarkably efficient. Nature repeats and refines these designs across countless species, demonstrating a principle: function and beauty can emerge from underlying patterns, even in something as seemingly simple as a leaf. Veins also influence light absorption. The arrangement creates subtle shadows and highlights, optimizing photosynthesis. Cells surrounding veins receive just the right amount of sunlight, while shade is minimized, balancing energy capture with structural needs. Even microscopic features, such as vein density and orientation, translate environmental signals into growth patterns, creating leaves uniquely adapted to their microhabitats. Consider the fractal-like symmetry seen in compound leaves. Smaller leaflets mirror the structure of the whole, repeating patterns at different scales. This recursive design not only enhances fluid transport but creates stability against wind, rain, and mechanical stress. Nature encodes efficiency in multiple layers, blending function with visual elegance. The leaf is a miniature landscape, a system of distribution and communication written in geometry. Beyond individual leaves, the network extends to branches and stems. Veins connect to larger vascular systems, linking leaves to roots and the wider plant body. Water drawn from soil travels upward, nutrients descend, and sugars move outward, all guided by the invisible code embedded in these networks. The leaf is simultaneously an endpoint and a node, participating in a larger symphony of life. Even decay follows patterns. When leaves die and fall, the veins often persist, leaving skeletal forms that reveal their precise architecture. These remnants provide habitats for fungi, insects, and microorganisms, continuing the cycle of life. Patterns etched in leaf veins extend beyond the lifespan of the leaf, influencing ecosystems quietly yet persistently. Standing quietly beneath a canopy, one may feel a sense of calm as sunlight filters through intricate veins. The eye follows lines and intersections, tracing natural geometry that is both functional and mesmerizing. Leaf veins remind us that nature thrives on balance between energy distribution, strength, adaptability, and aesthetic rhythm. They are subtle teachers of efficiency, resilience, and hidden order. As evening falls and shadows deepen, the intricate networks of veins glow softly under fading light. Each leaf, alive or fallen, carries a secret code, encoding information about growth, environment, and survival. Observing these patterns evokes serenity, curiosity, and wonder, offering a quiet connection to the intelligence embedded in life itself. Nature's mathematics is not confined to textbooks. It is alive, visible in every vein, every branching line, and every leaf that drifts softly to the forest floor. As darkness blankets the landscape, imagine stepping quietly into a world transformed. The sun has slipped below the horizon, and a serene stillness descends over forests, fields, rivers, and oceans. Yet beneath the quiet, life pulses with subtle energy, orchestrated by rhythms invisible to most human eyes. Nighttime ecosystems awaken in gentle, deliberate motion, following secret codes written in light, scent, sound, and movement. It is a world of calm activity, where survival, connection, and harmony unfold in slow, mesmerizing choreography. The first signs of nocturnal life are often subtle. Leaves rustle as small mammals emerge from hidden burrows, their movements cautious yet purposeful. Insects take flight, their bodies glinting faintly in moonlight or bioluminescence. Frogs chorus softly near water, their calls timed to communicate, attract mates, or establish territory. Each sound, each movement, carries encoded information, a language of life adapted to the cover of darkness. The night is alive with signals, all unfolding without haste, without chaos. Consider owls gliding silently above forest floors. Their feathers are designed to muffle sound, allowing them to approach prey with near invisibility. Eyes and ears finely tuned, they interpret vibrations and movement, translating minimal cues into precise action. The timing of their flight is synchronized with prey activity, the angles of moonlight, and the microcurrents of air. Every nocturnal hunter participates in a silent rhythm, a coded interplay between predator and prey that maintains balance within the ecosystem. Beneath the water's surface, rivers and streams carry subtle pulses of life. Fish navigate by moonlight and chemical gradients. Insects rise to feed, and algae continue their slow photosynthetic processes in the dim residual light. Even microbes follow diurnal rhythms, accelerating activity in response to oxygen levels, temperature, and light. The night orchestrates a harmony of activity across scales, from the microscopic to the macroscopic, linking every organism to a larger environmental rhythm. Fireflies emerge in fields and forests, casting fleeting pulses of light. These flashes are neither random nor merely decorative. They are precise signals for mating, territory, or warning. Each species has its own pattern, a coded sequence understood only by others of its kind. Observing these delicate lights, one senses the beauty of communication in darkness, a visual manifestation of rhythm, synchronization, and life's quiet intelligence. Even the wind and air participate in nighttime codes. Gentle breezes carry scents of blooming nocturnal flowers, guiding moths and other pollinators with invisible trails. The temperature, humidity, and slight shifts in airflow communicate subtle cues to plants and animals alike. Pollen, spores, and seeds move effortlessly, riding currents that humans perceive only faintly. Life at night is in constant conversation with its environment, reading and responding to codes written in every element of nature. Consider the ocean at night, where currents continue to move silently beneath a dark surface. Bioluminescent organisms flicker along coral reefs, plankton drift with the tides, and fish school in coordinated patterns, all guided by chemical, visual, and physical cues. The moonlight creates shimmering paths on waves, illuminating predators and prey alike, and signaling timing for spawning, hunting, and migration. Darkness does not slow life. It reveals hidden rhythms, subtle connections, and a deep pulse of existence. Even forests themselves breathe at night. Trees release volatile compounds, influencing insect activity and plant communication. Predators move through underbrush, prey shift positions, and fungi quietly decompose fallen matter, recycling nutrients. Each action contributes to a network of life that hums softly under starlight, a continuous pulse that ensures energy, information, and survival flow seamlessly through the ecosystem. As the night deepens, stars emerge overhead, mirrored by subtle reflections on water, dew, and bioluminescence below. The combination of light, shadow, movement, and sound creates a multisensory tapestry of calm, rhythmic life. Every organism, from the smallest microbe to the largest predator, participates in a grand nocturnal symphony, following hidden codes that guide motion, interaction, and survival. Sitting quietly amidst this nocturnal world, one may feel a profound sense of peace. The gentle pulse of life, imperceptible yet constant, reassures the mind and body. The night is not empty. It is alive, harmonious, and deliberate, with every creature, every movement, every whisper of wind contributing to the rhythm. Nature's secret code unfolds gently, teaching patience, observation, and serenity. And as dawn approaches, the first light tinges the sky, signaling the end of night's quiet choreography, but the pulse continues beneath the surface. Every ecosystem rests, recovers, and prepares to repeat its rhythm, silently connecting all life through cycles, patterns, and codes written across time and space. Nighttime teaches us that even in stillness, life persists, flowing steadily, calmly, and beautifully, in harmony with the hidden rhythms of the earth itself.